Hello there, AP Human Geo students. This is going to be a really short lesson, just going to cover a very specific topic today. And first of all, I'll just start off with these questions. Where would you rather live in America? Usually a lot of my students talk about how much they hate living in Vegas. Where do you have friends and family? And what do you think is the worst part of the United States? These are the questions to get started today. And this is the topic. It's the vernacular regions of the United States. We're going to talk about how to cut up this country and put it into various different puzzle pieces. So the important thing to know is these are not exact definitions. I think the two main maps here show you that there's a very different understanding of where's the Midwest. And like this map has something called the Heartland. This map doesn't. The Northwest, some people put Montana and Wyoming in the Northwest. I personally wouldn't. So a lot of these definitions are going to be sort of Mr. Brown's, like my decisions. Know that they're not universally acceptable, and there's definitely plenty of states that are kind of half and half in both regions there. So this is, generally what I'm going to talk about today, and this is also what I'm going to talk about today. Here's cultural regions in the United States. This is another interesting concept we'll talk about too. But ultimately, this is America. Yep, this guy's just Murica. All about it. Okay, so the things that I gotta remind myself, gotta talk about the economics, gotta talk about the big cities, gotta talk about the age structure, gotta talk about how they typically vote in a presidential election. So let's check it out. Okay, so let's start off with three regions right here. Let's start off with the West. So I would personally call the West all states that are west of the middle of the United States. And the middle of the United States is like Colorado. So honestly, the West, it's like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states. So it's Utah and onwards. The western United States is generally pretty depopulated. We've got a whole lot of wide open spaces around here. A lot of young people generally live here. A lot of old people do like to retire, and especially these more sunny states. But the West United States typically votes liberal. Utah always goes Republican. Arizona flips and flops. Nevada, we've gone liberal twice in a row. But California, Washington, Oregon, they're gonna go for the Democrats every time. Those are what I'll call the Western United States, and generally it's where people like to be. This is a overall thumbs up region of the USA. Okay, and now we'll divide the West a little more specifically. We're going to talk about the Northwest. This map shows Washington and Oregon State super in the Northwest, and then there's these three states which I guess are questionable. I think the Northwest is only Oregon and Washington. I have a good amount of family there. I spend a lot of time in those two states. And if you guys don't know this, Oregon and Washington, it gets rain 270 days of the year. A ridiculous amount of rain. Those states are just super green, super lush. I think lush is the appropriate word for sure. There's a lot of great economics developments happening there, especially in Washington State. Amazon.com, Starbucks, the Boeing Airplane Corporation. Portland is the #1 young people city, voted by a magazine. It might have now recently been replaced by Austin, Texas, actually. So it's definitely a happening spot. And there's plenty of students I've taught in Las Vegas who are like, Mr. Brown, I want to go to Washington State or Oregon. So that's the northwestern United States. Okay, now let's talk about the Southwest. And the way that I describe the Southwest, it's any state with desert. Okay, it's just, do you have the kind of environment Las Vegas has? Great, welcome to the Southwest. But I think I'll zoom in on it. We'll see more officially what I'll call the Southwest in a second. But yeah, the Southwest, it's just sunny, no snow. You know what? I hate worrying about snow. That's why I can tolerate living in Vegas, because we get snow like once every couple years, and it's only like for 2 days. But living in a place that gets consistent snow, never again. No thank you. So let's check these out. So this is the West. This is kind of the main topic of this slide. So know where the Western United States is. And then this is the Northwest. I would say it's just these two states, kind of a subdivision there. And then what's the Southwest? Well, it's everybody that has desert. So it's sort of like you're green all the time or you're desert. So there you go. All right, now let's go to the next one. Let's talk about the South. The South, or Dixie. Nobody really calls it Dixie anymore, but you'll hear that in some songs and stuff like that. So the southern United States, I describe them as the states that fought for the Confederacy. When our country had a civil war 150 years ago, these were the people that quit the United States of America and tried to fight for their independence, but they were ultimately brought back into the fold because they lost the Civil War. So yeah, they'll zoom in and you can see specifically which states were in the South. But already, like I said, that Texas is in the Southwest and it's in the South. So there's definitely going to be some states that are in multiple ways of defining the United States. But then we've got the Bible Belt, which is a little bit bigger than the South. The Bible Belt is Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia. And these states are seen as largely Christian super states. Like, just about everybody there super duper into Jesus. So, Bible Belt, get it. And I would say that the South and the Bible Belt almost always vote Republican in elections. I mean, there's, I think recently Georgia didn't vote for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. I don't think Virginia did either, but almost every other state in this region did go for Donald Trump. So it's kind of the cultural vibes down there. And then we talk about the Sun Belt. So the Sun Belt's an even bigger region. It basically includes the entire Southwest, and it just kind of goes all the way into the South. It's any area of the United States that gets no snow, and lots of old people really love to be where there's no snow. There's this concept in New York State called snowbirds. And snowbirds are people who live in New York most of the year, but as soon as it starts snowing, they'll go to their summer home in the southern United States, typically in Florida. So a lot of people just like to spend their winters in Florida and the rest of their time in a place that usually would get snow. And then there's this concept called the Deep South. The Deep South is Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama. This map says Georgia, but I think Georgia's changed a lot, especially recently. And yeah, this map doesn't have Arkansas. I would put Arkansas in there. But the Deep South, that's where you find the people talk with the big twang and they're talking like this. And yeah, it's a very culturally unique part of the United States. Now let's talk about some economic stuff. So what economics are in the South? Well, it's a whole lot of agriculture. And as we know, agriculture isn't really a super big way to make money unless if you're going for industrial scale agriculture. And the South definitely does have some of that, but industrial scale agriculture makes some people really rich and doesn't really help out the workers. So there typically is a lot of poverty in the South. There's a lot of ways we can map out statistics in the United States, and almost always you're going to see some serious problems happening in these states in the South, but especially the Deep South. I think Louisiana and Mississippi typically beat us in ways of measuring what's the worst state in the country for education. Yeah, not a lot of job opportunities, and you'll find a lot of people typically leaving the Deep South. But I know Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, I know they are growing economies. So the South is starting to break apart a little bit, especially in recent years. Okay, cool. Let's move on. So, yep. What words do you use to address two or more people? You guys or y'all? Y'all! That's what they say in the South. That's how you'll know. Okay, then these are the Confederate States of America. It's basically, look, it's all the y'all states. It's like the word of the Confederacy. And then, yeah, this is another way of sort of measuring the South. And then the Deep South. All right, moving on. Okay, now we got New England. So the top right corner of the United States. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll argue 7 states. Some people say New York is New England. I personally will. I'll say they are. Some people won't. So these 7 states, they're just kind of the first colonies, the first English colonies, and that's why they're given this moniker of New England. What are some things going on? Well, it typically is a younger demographic of people that tend to live there, especially in the city of Boston, Massachusetts. Boston has 3 of the top 10 universities in the world. I think it's got Harvard, Princeton, and MIT, or maybe it doesn't have Princeton, but it's got a lot. It's got a lot of incredible universities. New York City, of course, the largest city in the United States, got our main economic hub, basically the main economic hub of the whole world. Let's be honest. This region of the United States has its own football team, the New England Patriots, who play in Foxwoods, Massachusetts, but they kind of did that to cater to all of New England, I guess. What are some other concepts I have to say? Typically, people don't retire in New England. These two tend to be the snowbirds that I talked about earlier. And New England will almost always vote Democrat. This is, it's not going to flip Republican anytime soon, let's be honest. All right, moving on. So yeah, there's New England, top right corner of America. New England, Patriots, get it, Tom Brady. All right, now let's talk about the Midwest. This is a very confusing knowledge of where exactly the Midwest is, so I'm going to do my best to describe it. I would describe the Midwest as being a fairly large part of the United States. I've got all the postal codes there for the states that I would include in it. I think this map is pretty reliable. Sometimes I'll even consider Pennsylvania part of the Midwest. Maybe like half of Pennsylvania near the city of Pittsburgh. But so the Midwest also could be called the Corn Belt. A lot of these states, their main agricultural product is corn. Corn is in everything, after all. It's America's favorite food. So you're going to make a lot of corn, and it's weird that we call it the Midwest, because it's honestly more on the east side of the United States. So I would just call it the middle, not put a west or an east or any directional moniker other than north. But Midwestern people tend to have a special conversation-like topic, especially in Minnesota. I've got a great group of friends here in Las Vegas. Some are from Minnesota, and they have that Minnesota accent down. But another common term for a lot of these states in the Midwest, especially the ones that border the Great Lakes, people tend to call this area of the United States the Rust Belt. So yeah, every state that touches a Great Lake. So the Rust Belt, I would say Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And the thing is, this is maybe even more depressing than the Deep South, because these Rust Belt states used to be our prime factory states. It used to be where so many things were produced and made. But in recent years, a lot of these states have lost those factories. The factories have moved to China. And it's not a place where you can really get a lot of production going on anymore. It's pretty sad. So we're gonna see a lot of pictures of the Rust Belt, especially throughout the industry unit. And young people tend to be moving out of this part of the country a lot. I know the city of Chicago has lost hundreds of thousands of people. The city has half as many people as it once had. The city of Detroit maybe has a fourth of the people it once had. So this is not a great part of the United States. And typically, the Midwest voted Democrat. It was pretty solidly Democrat for a really long time. And then in the year 2016, almost all these states voted for Donald Trump. They really felt like they were betrayed by a lot of Barack Obama's economic policies. And in the year 2020, about half went to Trump and half went to Biden. So ultimately, Biden won. But yeah, it's still a part of the country that needs some serious focus and improvement. All right. So yeah, this is the Rust Belt and the Corn Belt and the Midwest. All of these terms generally apply. Maybe you wouldn't say Rust Belt to the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas, but they're definitely corn country for sure. Okay, yeah, where's all the corn at? Especially Iowa. The entire state of Iowa just loves making corn. That's their favorite thing to do. Okay, and then, yep, that's the Rust Belt. So it's especially Ohio. Ugh, so rough. So few economic opportunities. All right. Then we get into the Great Plains. So the Great Plains, the middle states, this is where definitely the Dakotas, Nebraska, what is this? Kansas, Oklahoma all come in, and Montana as well. These are just super flat states in the middle of our country. This is like prime tornado alley territory. Not a lot of big cities, not a lot of opportunities for young people. Farming has just dominated so much, these big giant GMO super farms. So you don't really need workers to help out that much. A lot of these people tend to migrate to other parts of the country where there's more things happening. So that's the big struggle of the Great Plains states, and these states will always vote Republican. It's their total big thing to do. Oh, you know what? I don't think I really talked about big cities. Well, in the West, it's definitely Los Angeles. New England, definitely Boston, New York. The South, definitely Atlanta. You can even say some of the cities in Texas. You could say Miami. Midwest, Chicago's the big city. And here would probably be Oklahoma City or Topeka, Kansas, I would think. So, okay, cool. These are the Great Plains states. It's where you'll find corn as well, but you also find wheat and soybeans and all these other things Americans make on farms. So that's the kind of the Great Plains central states. And that's what it looks like. It's generally pretty flat. A whole lot of big farm machines. Farmers doing their jobs. All right, that's Vernacular Regions of the USA. Peace out.